The chickpea dishes of hummus and falafel are staple foods throughout the Middle East. So, of course, they're on the menu at Nizar Bitar's restaurant. He comes from Syria, like many of his customers. They fled to Turkey to escape the civil war at home.
I like to make, food and kitchen work. I like it so much. I decide I must work because Syrian people also missed more things here, like bread, like Syrian kitchen.
Bitar arrived in Turkey from Damascus with 2 suitcases. He was on the run from the Syrian secret police. With his restaurant, he was able to make a new start and offer the growing tide of young Syrian refugees an opportunity to build their own future.
We didn't want to leave them in streets. This is what we want, exactly. They want them work in some good places, like human. This is what we want. Because we suffered before them, and we didn't want them suffered like us.
Now, Bitar has 6 more restaurants in the center of Istanbul, and his are not the only businesses on the Bosphorus owned by Syrians. Increasing numbers of refugees are arriving in the Turkish metropolis to escape the camps in the border region, and the Turkish government tolerates that. But not all of the Syrian refugees are able to build a new life in Turkey. 10-year-old Khadija tries to remember the letters she once learned. She was only able to attend school in her hometown of Aleppo for 1 year before the war started.
I can write a few words and compose a simple letter, but I want to learn to read and write properly. And I want to go to a proper school.
Instead, she sits around with her mother and 3 siblings in a damp basement apartment in an Istanbul suburb. Her father works as a day laborer, earning the equivalent of around 400 euros a month. It's not enough to send Khadija to a private refugee school.
Whenever I pass a school in Istanbul, I get very sad because I can't send my children to school. In a way, they've lost 4 years of their lives.
But at least Turkish authorities have given refugees like the Kurdiers IDs that allow them to get medical treatment for free. But there's no doctor that can help with the cold that enters the makeshift coverings on the glassless windows, and there's no prescription for homesickness.
I really miss my home, especially my neighbors in Aleppo and my apartment. I have no idea what condition it's in. I'm safe here in Turkey, but no country is as beautiful as Syria.
There are some 300,000 refugees in Istanbul, from Iraq as well as Syria. Those who suffer social rejection and are unable to find work usually want to continue west to Europe. But for that, they need people smugglers to get them across the border to Greece or to Italy. We called a Syrian smuggler in the Turkish port city of Mersin, pretending to be potential clients.
It costs $4,800 per person. Usually we take between 5,000 and 5,500. The ship's 77 meters long, a freighter that can sail in any kind of weather. This time there will be 1,000 passengers on board. The captain will not leave the ship, don't worry. He'll only get his money when all the refugees have reached their destination.
The Mediterranean port of Mersin, some 1,000 kilometers south of Istanbul, is a hub for people smugglers. In the past, desperate refugees used to risk crossing to Europe in fishing boats. Now they do it in freighters, ready to be scrapped. This former journalist from Damascus, who wishes to remain anonymous, wants to use a smuggler to get to Europe. He no longer has a passport. His wife and children are in Lebanon. Now he's trying to earn enough money for the crossing, despite the risks.
If you're trying to escape death, you don't care how dangerous it is. And Europe is forcing me to place my fate in the hands of smugglers. There's no legal way to do it. I'll probably go alone and then get my family when I've been granted asylum in Italy or someplace else.
Nizar Bitar plans to stay in Istanbul. He says Arabs and Turks have a lot in common in terms of culture and religion, and he feels at home in Turkey.
You look for a country, respect you, see you, give you peace, give you life, give you work, give you warmth, give you medical. This is our country, this is our hope. I must say that.
But only a very few of the 1.6 million Syrian refugees in Turkey are as lucky as Nizar Bitar or have his entrepreneurial spirit.